Welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2014. This is GameSpot. You know the deal. Do that shit. Do that shit. You guys, that camera, do that shit. Do that shit. Do that shit. Do it. Do that shit. Yeah, do it. Do some shit. Do shit. You need to go to the toilet, do that shit. Right, okay. Yeah, a bunch of stuff that we talked about was shown. Some stuff, I think we kind of got everything except for the fitness stuff, but yeah, we got half an hour. Let's chew some of this out.
Shape up.
Shape up before we ship out and do a shit.
No.
Okay, first one up, Far Cry 4. They started with the first ever gameplay of Far Cry 4. Peter Brown,
yes.
What did you think of what we saw there?
I mean, what's really to see? I mean, the gameplay was more of a cinematic, wasn't it?
Yeah, fair enough. Actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that gameplay. I mean, okay, they set up the thing. This guy is sort of deranged, right? He's really demanding. He's insane. He's got this sort of like all-encompassing power over these guys and seemingly infinite wealth. And I don't really know what to make of that necessarily.
We saw the passport stuff. That might be a shout back to Far Cry 2, where you used your passport as the menu stuff.
I mean, I'm curious, like, how you're supposed to be involved with his motives.
Who are you? Like, he knows who you are, and then takes the selfie and that stuff. But what exactly is your relationship to him?
And he seems to be a national of whatever country this is. Whereas when the selfie moment came up, you looked like you were a straight up Caucasian dude.
Yeah.
Although, who knows? Because everyone thought he was a Caucasian guy in the rendering.
That's true.
And we really did only see, yourself from one angle.
He stabs the hell out of this guy pretty bad. This very much felt like when the reveal of Vaz, when they showed off Far Cry 3. Did you enjoy this character to the same level as Vaz?
I don't know if enjoy.
I reveled in it.
Is really the right word. I mean, but it gets the point across, right? Like, we know that this guy's, like, totally evil down to the core, and awful and gross and black-hearted, and all of those things, and well-acted.
Yeah, I think he could be a great villain.
Yeah, he could be.
I think he could be a great villain.
Did it not feel hackneyed at all, or did it actually feel like a genuine kind of performance?
But then I looked at his great trousers, and I was like, I'm back him.
The acting sells it, like the setup is pretty, like, he's gonna stab the dude, right? We're sitting here for like 30 seconds just wondering when the other shoe is gonna drop.
Yeah.
When he's going through like, I said stop, not shoot, that whole bit.
I wonder if he knows that you won't kill him by the fact that he hands you that pocket knife.
Yeah.
Like, you're right, it's the motivations of why your character is there, Usually the chief antagonist is somebody you eventually get round to killing. Maybe that was not the case in Far Cry 3 as it happens, but maybe more questions than answers.
From the way they showed this, it seems to me at least to be more of a mystery as to who the identity of the main character is. Like, I might be wrong, like they might give you that thing where there's a 5-minute trailer about his youth coming in 2 days, but when Far Cry 3 was announced, it was very much like, here's this guy, here's his gang, and he's stuck on this mysterious island. Whereas this seems to be more, what's the deal with this guy? Like, it seems that they might spend more time explaining the villain than they do the protagonist, and maybe finding out about the protagonist is part of the story as it unravels as the game progresses.
I'm kind of curious, though, is this going to be another sort of white man's burden story now that we see what our own character is like? And it's like, well, he seems pretty white, dude.
Yeah, but again, honestly, their brows look very similar. He says, "I'd recognize those eyes anywhere." How do we know he's not somehow
could be the
related?
Guy's son.
He could,
or half brother or something like that.
I mean, he could totally be related. I don't know that it's fair to jump to those conclusions just yet.
Cool. So I guess more and more questions about Far Cry 4. They didn't show much in the way of gameplay, which is perhaps a bit of a disappointment. But lots of like the fire stuff in Far Cry 2. There's lots of touchstones here for like the way even red caps on dudes who are bad guys. Straight out of Far Cry 3.
I kind of think we all know how it's going to play. Like, I'm kind of happy we saw it like this, and that Far Cry 3 to me was as much about the world as it was anything else, and this is a glimpse at the actual world. Like, you don't need to show me him trying to skin a few animals to get a better wallet.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
It seems like a fun, decent world, and I am very much excited to play it when it comes out.
Cool. That was Far Cry 4. It's how they started off the show. Afterwards, the next the one thing I'll say about this conference is, man, they went tonally. They went so many crazy directions.
Oh yeah.
Right after, just killing innocent civilians, Far Cry 4, we got Just Dance Now, the phone app version of Just Dance. What did you guys think about this and Alberta's wonderful award-winning dancing skills?
I just like the song Happy.
Yeah.
Like, it always makes me happy.
They
And
got
so
you.
when I see it, it's like, I feel so happy. Here's my real question is, how does it determine who the winner is? How can the game possibly know who is the best dancer
It's very
amongst
simple.
all those people?
It's very simple. It's not about dancing. It's about shaking your phone, like, you know, activating the gyro sensor at the right time for the beat. The whole dancing part is irrelevant. So yeah, sure, you can get into it, but honestly, like,
look at this.
I don't think that selling this as a skill-based competitive thing for thousands of people is going to catch on. It just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
But Just Dance has never been about technical precision.
Oh, Martin.
Actual dancing.
It's
Martin.
never been about the game
No,
part
no,
of
but
it,
Just
right?
Dance, Just Dance is way more fun than Dance Central. Like, Just Dance is definitely the best dancing game because the moves are. I mean, look at these. Like, the moves are silly. Dance Central has always been like, oh, here's some serious moves, and then I do them like, oh.
And even the way
I'm
like
an idiot.
the characters on screen dance,
Yeah.
they actually do a really good job of like making them into these like pantomime figures and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why it's fun. You come back on a Friday night and you've had a few.
It's
alcoholic
4 in the
beverages, you know, and
Yeah.
you can kind of think like, oh, let's play some Just Dance. It's just a fun game. Dance Central has always been way too serious.
That
to me,
sounds like what I want to do when I'm fall down drunk.
Exactly. Let's
come
go
back,
do that
play some
tonight
Just
when we
Dance.
get back
Yeah.
to the hotel.
But let's
Dude,
be
I'll play some
honest,
Just
you
Dance.
don't need this feature to dance along to Just Dance if you really do just want to look at it and
Look,
just
let's
dance.
call a spade a spade. If you
Yeah.
want to dance, you don't really need video games.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, but if the hook is the music video thing, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be in the room anyway, screw your phone, throw it out the window, just dance anyway. Like, the competitive part of it doesn't really apply. I don't.
But maybe
like,
this is a thing where like everyone has a phone. You got a couple
Yeah.
of people over. It's like a really. What's the interface between the television and the game actually? How does that work? Like, is that coming through a different console?
I thought it was just like the Wii version of the game, but you can
Okay.
connect your phone. But the thing is, right, like,
So then maybe that's it.
everyone can pick, like,
Maybe this is the way of having like instead of Connect only has 4 people. Now you can get all your buddies over.
yeah,
You don't have
or
to
just
get your
everyone can
4
pick up a phone and they know, they go, oh, hold the phone in your hand.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, oh, pick up the other controller, even
But you wouldn't. It's Connect.
is it? Oh yeah.
Did you notice
Like-
though that he had a strap on his phone around
had a
his
strap
wrist?
on?
Yeah, he had a strap on.
That's just
He was
that's
rocking
what I was
a
gonna-
that's just
full-blown
good
strap
safety.
on his phone.
Yeah.
Around his wrist, right? Can you imagine people like when
Are
the
you
Wii came out?
Are you saying the Wii remotes are going to come back?
Yeah.
Are we going to get like those like silicon condoms
Because,
for our
dude,
phones
you're-
as well?
If you're drunk at 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
you're dancing to the music like really hard, do you honestly
Really
think
hard.
really hard with your
Yeah, condom for your strap on.
Yeah.
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 the internet?
Great. Okay. Next up, after the wonderful joy of dancing and Pharrell Williams that we had with Just Dance, we went to the somber and bleak post-apocalyptic world of The Division. Okay, so this is a tone trailer, I guess. It's not in-game or anything like that. Kevin, what did you think about what we saw here?
I'm still really looking forward to The Division. And part of it is the tone. Like, Ubisoft does this tonal thing in a lot of the games. It's the Tom Clancy thing, but it crosses over into other places too, where it's like super serious and it's that near future technology where you know technology really doesn't work like that, but you kind of want it to work like that. And it's the kind of technology you see on TV when it's like, I can zoom in really far and everything's really clear and not pixelated. Like, and I don't know, this sort of reminded me, I'm kind of looking back on like the Dead Island trailer.
Yes.
Like, this reminds me a little bit of that in terms
Well, it's
of
got
the
a child
tone it's trying-
dying, so
yeah,
there you go.
It's like it's trying to capture this tone of like, this is this awful world that you've been put into, and it might be a little bit of a cliche, like the terrible world with the somber narration over top and all that kind of stuff. But
I like the idea that they were almost like painting the world as if this isn't just a construct of a world that we have made for this game. Like everything in this world, from like the bins where they are to like why that glass is broken on that window, happened because of something to do with the
story
fallout.
behind it, right? And I really like that. And plus, I have a weakness for games with snow anyway.
Okay, yeah.
But it's I don't know that
yeah.
I can remember a time when it's like, urban snow and it gets really bloody, and like maybe Mafia 2.
Sometimes when you have too much urban
but
snow, it's just blood. Yeah, it gets
yeah,
really
like
bloody,
this is exciting. I like that contrast between the bright blood and the white snow. That's pretty cool.
Peter Brown.
Sorry,
What are you thinking
Sorry,
about the
Peter.
Urban snow.
Yeah, he's got urban snow on his shoes. Yo, man, can I have the rest of that urban snow?
I hate all of you.
Yeah,
He's had far too much urban snow.
Martin Gaston, what do you think of what we saw here?
I think this is a great great trailer.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too grim for my taste. I was a bit like the bit at the start with the kids dying. I was a bit like, this is a bit grim, and that kind of. I don't know. I'll be happy when the game comes out and it probably doesn't have any of that in it. If it's anything like Dead Island, none of that will make it the final game, and I can just play it and enjoy it. That was a bit grim, but a beautiful trailer.
And I like the idea that what these folks are doing is some sort of novel. I don't know, or like, yeah, I like the good guy idea of this, and it's not just that you are part of some military group that is trying to overthrow a government, or like it seems pretty like down to earth.
Yeah, I like playing as just a straight up hero. Just a genuinely
just a guy
decent
who wants it to
guy.
be better than it is.
Yeah.
And then the skies of flamethrowers. We did actually see the flamethrowers in the previous gameplay as well.
The car doors.
Yeah, car doors open and close. That is the Division. All right, let's get out of there. After the somber post-apocalyptic child murder simulating of that, we went to The Crew. Woo! Miami to LA via San Francisco. Seems like a bit of a weird way to get there, but fair enough. Okay, so we saw this, I guess, time-lapse footage of this sick car driving the whole way there. What I like the most about this is the dirt vignette around the edge of the screen. Martin?
Yeah, so it looks good. Every racing game now is doing the connected, join a gang kind of thing. Like that pitch, I don't think works because every game does it. You can't really sell your game on that basis because every game does it. We spoke about this on the Drive Club on the lobby last week, whereas at least The Crew has this very open, like this is impressive. Like look at the diversity and the amount of in the scenery you're driving past. That is of interest to me. Really, I really need to see how it handles. Like all racing games are made or unmade by how well they handle, right? So that's very much open to. That's what I need to find out. So I need to go and play it and find that out. But it looks good. Like this is a really nice trailer to show off what they're trying to do with the game. So yeah.
It looks very much just like a driving simulator. I'm not really seeing any racing happening here. I presume that there will be crew versus crew races, but they're basically showing that this is a driving game and you can go to different places.
Yeah, I'm wondering how
much great, but
I wonder how much of the onus is on being with your three other friends, or is it Burnout Paradise style where it's actually more about the different, race types that are spread across their map?
Sure. I mean, yeah. What are the win conditions?
Kevin, what are you thinking about The Crew?
I mean, last year they really showed more about what the game itself is going to be like. I mean, in this case, the whole trailer ends with like, where will your crew go? So to me, it's really all about the scope. They're trying to really sell the scope. Although I will say I have a little pet peeve with The Crew when they talk about it, when they call it an MMO. I sort of cringe a little bit because it does not. Like, as much as you want to use the word MMO to describe anything nowadays that's multiplayer or has a lot of people playing at one time, it does not have the typical components of an MMO. Yeah. So, but other than that, again, it does come down to how well it drives, right? But I think if they pull it off, it sounds like it could be great. If it drives well, a lot to do.
Cool. That was The Crew. That's the first half of our breakdown of the Ubisoft E3 2014 conference. We also got to talk about Assassin's Creed Unity, Shape Up, Valiant Hearts, and of course Rainbow Six, which Yves Guillemot did his usual dropping of the bomb right at the end. So stay with us. We'll be back in 30 seconds after a message from our sponsors. Hello and welcome back to GameSpot's continuing coverage of E3 2014. Sorry, I'm a little bit frazzled. We have to give a shout out to Mary Kish for this wonderful graphic behind us. Can you?
Wrong way.
Is that a thumbnail, Mary? What? You get back to work. We got a bunch more Ubisoft games to talk about. Let's jump straight into, I guess, from a gameplay perspective, the biggest reveal of the conference, Assassin's Creed Unity. Kevin Van Ord, what did you think about what you saw here?
I was very happy with what I saw here, actually. In part because at Microsoft earlier we saw the big rambunctious 4-player co-op stuff that apparently you're going to be doing in Unity, whereas this really addressed my biggest worry about Unity at this stage, which is has it lost the idea of being an assassin?
Yeah.
So here it actually felt It actually brought back a little bit of that Assassin's Creed 1 feeling for me. It's interesting, the parkour is definitely faster, it seems, than anything I've ever remembered seeing in Assassin's Creed.
We see it right here as he kind of descends down this building.
Yeah, he's just really moving, but the speed at which he's pulling this stuff off.
But that's needed, right? Because in past Assassin's Creed, if you were up there, the way to get down would be to just, I'm going to jump in some hay. You know, at least if you can scramble down things like this, it actually gives you more sense of traversal in a way that the series has lacked until
now. It actually really looks neat, though, and I'm glad that they focused on this single player aspect, and that at the end it really does come down to, just getting the assassination done and then getting out of there. But there were two other things that I really took away. One is this looks like a cover system, a real cover system.
Yeah, true.
So I'm guessing that this is press button to cover.
It's also it is also notably better than the gameplay we saw in the Microsoft conference this morning. Or at least I felt that way. Peter, do you think that as well?
Oh, I mean, I think it's more robust. I mean, it's got greater variety in terms of what you're going to be able to do.
But no, I even just technically, from a visual standpoint. Yeah, graphically. I don't know, that opening shot of the crowd seemed to be a lot.
Well, to be frank, when I was looking at that crowd, I saw a whole lot of popping and jerky animation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, to me, that kind of stood out. I mean, it's impressive the number of people that they had on screen. And I'm not just saying, I don't want to diminish that is a big challenge in and of itself. But I definitely noticed some things, and I think when those things pop out, it kind of takes away from my, not immersion, but my belief in what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Animus bugs.
Yeah.
Animus bugs? Animus bugs.
Yeah.
You're back in.
It's a feature.
You're back in.
It's a feature.
Animus bugs.
I guess here as well, you can see the UI kind of pops up all of these objectives around the map. Perhaps this is an alternative or an addition to a mini map or a larger map that's in the game.
That's much needed, because to get that sense of is this objective close to me now, or is it really far away? Sometimes when you've got a really small map and just tons of stuff dotted there, you kind of I get a bit lost, or I have got a bit lost in Assassin's Creed.
This leans a bit much for me into the showing a lot of UI exposition, really making that Animus whole thing kind of front and center, not letting you live in the world. But this area here, I almost hated when they pop out to this view, because you just want to watch the gameplay.
Yeah, it was a bad timing too, because just when it looked like this is really impressive, the number of people there.
Yeah, dude getting murdered over here. People are getting killed all over the place. In this
Revolution.
That's life.
I guess, but is it? It's kind of a bit of a feels like it's a bit too much going. Like there's people just buying the groceries and then dudes getting stabbed to death on the other side. The other thematic connection between this and what we saw earlier on the Xbox One and Microsoft's conference was that at the end, when they pulled off the assassination, they didn't actually kill the individual themselves. They left them for the crowd to finish off.
Right.
Martin, do you think that's like a theme, perhaps?
I think that would be good. I think. One of the things with Ezio is always his talking to the person he's about to kill, and they have the back and forth, and there's the rest we had Tatum Pace thing.
Great
I said
Latin.
that real bad. I like the idea of having some sort of central theme that repeats with each main victim, I guess. But I also think both of these things, both of the demos we've seen have been in the middle of the revolution. Now, if you look at Assassin's Creed 2, if you look at 3, these games span quite a considerable period of time.
Yeah.
So the bits we're seeing might just be set in the middle of the revolution, it's all kicking off, and there might be two big chunks of the game set before and after that aren't quite like this. There aren't, the murdering the streets, it's not quite as busy.
Yeah.
This might be for just a chunk of the game rather than all of it, if you know what I mean.
There was a part as well, right at the end of the gameplay, where your 3 assassin buddy turns up, and then there was also a part where the main character here walked into a room and it said join quest was one of the options. So do you think some of that multiplayer stuff, Peter, might be instanced rather than just kind of persistently happening throughout the game?
That does seem to be the case. Yeah, I didn't notice that, but if that was a thing you saw, I mean, that would then suggest that, right?
One of the mission markers earlier, it's 4-player max, it said as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 4 max players. Yeah, so it's I think there might be a few missions
I'm gonna guess that. I'm gonna guess that it's like Watch Dogs, where you're kind of pulled out of it, you're put into an area with people, and then when it's done, you just kind of remain there in your version of the world. You're in that same spot that you left, but you don't necessarily begin in that same way.
Perhaps Far Cry 4 will be similar then in that respect. We don't know. Let's keep going through the games. It's time to shape up or ship out. Shape up, Martin.
You have
lost quite a lot. You've gotten real buff in the past couple of months.
Well, thank you.
Sexy is the word.
Well, thank
Sexy.
you.
As somebody who has been taking care of themselves, what do you think about Shape Up?
I'd give it a go, but when they had the US versus like France competition, the American guy was doing like half push-ups, like he was completely cheating.
Are you saying that Gary Steinman, Ubisoft's American PR, is cheating at his video game?
I'm saying he is straight up cheating. He's doing like, by the end, he's doing like, tiny dippy dips, like. Whereas at least the French dude is trying to get his chest to the ground and then back up again, like. And
Watch this. But he's got a neckerchief on. It's way heavier. Poor guy. So this is using Kinect. I'm assuming the word Kinect was never mentioned, much like when Harmonix were on stage at the Microsoft conference, they also never mentioned the word Kinect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dirty word this year. It's a dirty, dirty word.
Do you think Ubisoft maybe feel a bit pissed off about this?
I don't know. I'm just upset that there's a donut because they try to make me hungry while I'm working out. Like, that's just not right.
I also feel like looking up when you're doing press-ups is perhaps bad for your neck.
Probably.
I don't know. I'm no fitness guru.
It's a fun idea. I just don't know whether it makes sense to try and combine gamer culture and physical activity.
I don't know.
Like, they might be at loggerheads on this one. Like,
I like it. I actually like it more because most workout games really are just a simulation of a workout that you can go and do somewhere else. I mean, if you're going to do it, why not gamify it more and make it more fun? As somebody who's plummeted in weight and then picked it all back up again and then some, like I need a real reason to to get the fun back into the workout. And I can see this being the thing.
Do you think it's repeatable? Do you think this would be? Because the problem with some of these pieces of software is that oftentimes maybe you get into it for a couple of weeks, but then it becomes a bit tedious because it's the same thing every time.
Yeah, but that's true of really any workout software at this point. Yeah. So to me, it becomes a question of like, how can I mix this stuff? Like, if I can make my own workout, and if I have a lot of different exercises to put in there, that's where the variety is going to come from. Okay. So that's what I would.
I think the dancing mode looks really fun. Are you going to seriously use this for like 8 to 12 months to shape up for a bit? Like, it looks like a fairly fun mini game that I'd have a play with and be like, oh, it's fine, And
I was going to join that local soccer team, but instead I'm going to get Shape Up.
I'm a hardcore Shape Up
Ubisoft.
player. I don't know. It seems a bit like a novelty to me.
Peter, you were like keeping stum there. Any thoughts on Shape Up?
I'll be honest, man. I actually kind of enjoyed that demo. Yeah, and I mean, who knows what other like activities they have. The dancing one seemed really good. They could always add more songs into that, so that could be fun. And I don't know that I would necessarily use it, but I think it's a great way to make it, exercise entertaining. And like Kevin said, not remind you that you're doing this thing that is a slog that you don't really want to do.
Fair enough. After Shape Up, after the joy of Shape Up, we've got the World War, the Great War. What a great war! Woo! Remember this? Ubisoft Montpellier do. This is Valiant Hearts, the Great War. Nice tone trailer here, I guess. I guess again, we were talking about perhaps some Ubi Art framework games coming out of this. This is one we already knew about. Martin, we were talking about it before we went live at the conference. What were your thoughts on this bad boy?
I still don't know too much about this actual game, but this trailer I think is, I think it looks, I don't want to say appealing because the subject matter is very, very grim.
It's the Great War.
But it's the Great War.
Woo!
I don't. But it's the kind of game that I'm definitely going to play this game.
Yeah.
Like if it's terrible, if it's great, that doesn't matter. I'm going to play it because this has grabbed me. Like I'm definitely going to buy it and play it. It just looks like something that's both. I like the art style. I think that's what's quite jovial, like quite happy.
Yeah.
But I like that because I think the contrast between the art style and the reality of the situation here, which I don't think they're not trying to express. I think they're trying to show you something that's something that happened in our history that's very, very bad, with an art style that's almost quite happy, and that clash actually makes me think about the situation a little more than just being shown like pictures of it.
Yeah.
So I think if they handle it right and the tone's right and it's not too like, I don't think it will be from looking at it, as long as it's not too like gung-ho, like, war. I think it could be really, really good.
There are 4 characters in this as well. It doesn't seem to be the type of game that would go this way, but Peter, do you think there's any chance of this being a co-op type game?
No.
It's a straight up story.
This is, it seems very narrative driven, right?
You would hope.
I would hope. I don't think Ubisoft has some like hard and fast rule now where it's like every game must have co-op. That would be a bit ridiculous, I think.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it looks beautiful, and I'm sort of reminded of the Banner Saga in terms of the art style, just a little bit. And that in and of itself makes me interested.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious to see if it can really evoke these kinds of emotions that it's trying for. At first I was sort of like, yeah, the animation seemed a little jokey almost when I was first looking at it. Does that really fit the setting? But then when I saw it sort of evolve, even the little story the trailer was telling about the dog and his losses, really, that it sort of started to fit.
Cool. And then afterwards, Eves came out and showed us off the new Rainbow Six game, Rainbow Six Siege. This looks, I don't know, almost like a sort of a Counter-Strike meets SWAT 4 type affair. Peter, what were your thoughts on this when it first came on?
It didn't really strike me as anything that was terribly exciting or new, I gotta be honest with you. I'm also, they call this pre-alpha footage?
Yes.
I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah.
What game in a pre-alpha state looks this complete and this tight?
So I'm trying to, this is a 5v5 sort of cops versus robbers, which actually seems to be a bit of a theme this year already.
Yeah.
Game. This is, in the ilk of other team-based multiplayer games where the dudes here are setting up their barricades and whatnot, trying to prepare for the incoming onslaught. I guess they're sieging, as it were.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this, Martin? You play a lot of Counter-Strike and stuff.
I think the reaction everyone had from this was like, oh, it doesn't look like it's doing very much. But I think these serious online games are about executing on the mechanics, right? This game look, there's a setup bit. This is what people have been wanting from Rainbow Six for ever, as far as I can tell. They want a setup bit to come back. They want tactics. Like the terrorists at the start get a bit of time to try and set things, pull the blinds down, block the doors. The SWAT team comes down. I guess the Rainbow team, if we're going to stick to the canon, and then they have their own stuff as well. Like later on, where they're shooting bullets in the walls, where the guys are they're putting the charges down to blow the floors and the ceilings and the walls out. I imagine you've only got a couple of those per round. But how great would it be if you could just pretty much blow out any part of this level? I mean, the kind of opportunities that
you were saying.
Yeah, it depends how it's executed, but the idea of having such freedom to do so many things in a multiplayer focused game would be great. Battlefield's been trying to do this for a while. It never quite gets it right because the things you can always blow up don't have that much structural importance apart from the levolution bit. But then that's the same thing that happens every single time. The thing in the middle of the level falls down and some dust comes up. And I think that's a good start. But the idea of being able to just blow out any wall in this house or blow out any ceiling or something it could be really good.
Do you ever worry that, because originally Counter-Strike was actually a relatively slow-paced game where people took their time. Do you ever worry that this sort of plodding tactical aspect of the game, they're actually trying to work as a team, that inevitably when these games come out, it never actually happens that way?
There is no element of that. No one's going to communicate like they do in this trailer again. This is the Ubisoft's thing. I don't know who's telling them how people play online games, but they've got their information wrong. It's not like this. But Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I think there's been a real resurgence of that game. I don't know if you've played it recently, but people are really getting back into it. And I'm going to be honest, it's because they put the gun skins in. But they're really going back to it, and there's a lot of tactics in that game. You and I could play Counter-Strike, not be in any not even talking, and we would know what to do in Dust. We would know what to do in Dust too, and I think that's how we would play multiplayer games. And as long as you get the maps right, it's fine.
Cool. That was Rainbow Six Siege. We also just found out apparently in the past couple of minutes that Rainbow Six Patriots has been cancelled, so that's that.
Press X to kiss wife for one last time.
Press X to start escorting. That's pretty good. Final thoughts, folks. Martin, what did you think about Ubisoft? What was your favorite game out of it?
I really liked it. My favorite was Rainbow Six. Just thinking about if it's a good multiplayer game, I am well into it.
Cool. Peter Brown?
I'm probably on my own, but shape up.
Great. Like it.
I know.
Kevin Van Ord?
I liked it. Got to stick with Assassin's Creed on this one.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Ubisoft had a bunch of games that our whole panel. Far Cry 4 was mine, so we don't even have a 2 on any of those. But we'll be back. That was Ubisoft done and dusted. We'll be back with Sony. They are live at 6 p.m. That's an hour and a half from now, but we've got a 5:30 pre-show in just over an hour's time. So stick with us here on GameSpot.com/E3. We'll be back pretty soon. Girlwood.